There we go. All right. So we are going live. It looks like we are live right now. So I just want to welcome anyone who is on the channel right now. This is the TransView Season 1, Episode 2. We're very excited about Episode 2. And this is the pre-show, so we're going to be around for the next couple minutes. I hear a little bit of an echo.
I hear a little bit of an echo too.
Is everyone using, let's see, because I have a headphone, so I don't think it's coming from me.
I've used the headphone.
Headphones.
Did I get my headphones?
That might work.
Okay.
It could also, is your husband using headphones?
Yes, he is.
Hmm.
I'm gonna try to get my headphones.
Okay, we'll give that a try. And then we'll go live. Well, we're already live, but then we'll actually start the show. So for anyone who's on the channel,
Yeah, I went over this.
let's see. I'm gonna head over to channel 2 so I can participate and be cool like all of you guys. I'll send out a link. So Rachel, Aneesh, anyone, if you want to just send out the link.
I'm doing it now on Facebook.
Awesome. I'm gonna send it out on Facebook and Twitter and all the places. Get some people in here. Yeah, look at that.
I've posted it on Facebook and I'm just going to copy and paste it onto the Twitter and YouTube.
Awesome. All right. So anyone using the internet, which I think most people watching us are actually doing, if you want to tweet at us or find us on Twitter, you can use the hashtag #TheTransView. We're going to be accepting questions on there today. We're going to be interacting with different people. We actually have some questions for people during the pre-show, so you can submit your answers there. Again, that's on Twitter using the hashtag #TheTransView. All right. And I'm on Twitter now, so I'm monitoring that. All right, Twitter. And Twitter did this thing this week where they made us update to new profiles, and they look all different. Now they're trying to be Facebook.
Oh, has it become more big?
Say that? Oh yeah, it's all big and stuff. Strange.
Oh, wow.
All right, the TransView. There we are. All right, so we are live on Twitter, and I think we're live on YouTube. All right, so I guess we'll go ahead and start. So welcome everybody to the TransView pre-show. We're going to be on here for maybe the next 10 minutes, and then we'll take a break before the actual live show starts. So with us today, you know what? It might be me. I might be the one doing the echo. I'm so sorry. Let's see. I'm gonna know. All right. Did that go away?
I think so.
Yeah, it was totally me.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you guys. That was the kitty cam. All right. So getting back on track. So this month we have a panel of 3 amazing people. I'm super excited to be here with everyone. So the first person that we have is me, as usual, since we're on my YouTube channel and stuff. My name is Aaron Armstrong, aka Grishno. For anyone who's not aware, which I would be super surprised if there's people watching who aren't aware. I've been on YouTube doing videos about being trans and about my life for about the last 6-7 years, so it's been a long time. And so this is sort of the next iteration of what we're going to be doing. So we have some other guests. We also have Aneesh. So Aneesh, how are you doing this month?
I'm doing great. I'm excited for the show. We got lots of cool stuff to talk about.
We do. We have a lot going on this way. Have you been up to anything exciting over the last month since we've seen you?
Yeah, I shot a commercial for Microsoft. I shot an industrial for Microsoft as well the other day, which was a lot of fun. Although we were on set for 13 hours, that wasn't really that much fun. Let's see, I did a play up in Seattle that ran just a weekend. It was a one-act, which was pretty cool. The main character was actually trans, so it was really cool to play.
Were you playing the main character?
Yeah, I was, yeah.
What was the play about?
It was kind of something that I'm sure, we've all been through. I'm not sure about Rachel because she's so young, but hopefully the boys aren't after her already. It was about this guy and a girl who had been going out for a while, and then she finally reveals to him that she's trans, and kind of his whole what he feels after he finds out. And it's really cool. It's a one act, and the playwright is actually expanding it to a full length. So it's a work in progress, which is really cool to work on, because it even changed a lot from when we first started rehearsals to by the time we opened. So it was really, really a fun project to work on, and I'm excited to hopefully take it to the next level. Yeah.
Nice. And also with us, we have a new guest this month. So we have Rachel. Hi, Rachel. How's it going?
Hi. Good.
So Rachel is coming to us from across the pond, as they say, in the UK. Isn't that right?
Yes. Not very sunny in the UK.
Say that again. I'm sorry.
It's not very sunny in the UK.
It's all right. I'm from the Bay Area, so I sympathize. So Rachel, you are a YouTuber. Is that correct?
My YouTube channel is TransLife, and I haven't been posting regularly much.
But you started doing video blogs on YouTube pretty recently, right?
Yeah, about a month or a half ago.
So what got you interested in making YouTube videos and documenting your transition?
Well, I did really want to share my experience, and plus I wanted to connect with other people and possibly give them support, and like, I don't know what else to say.
No, that's great. But one of the things that people are probably going to notice right away is that you're pretty young. So how old are you actually?
12, and I'm nearly 13.
Nearly 13. And so this is officially making me feel super old.
Oh yeah.
But we're super excited to have you, and I started watching your videos, Rachel. I probably right after you started. I think you had commented on some of my stuff, and I started watching you, and I was just struck because to me, like, you're so young, and I remember being that young and struggling with a lot of different things, but I certainly didn't have I don't know what I didn't have, but I was certainly not making videos or even remotely ready to transition at that point in my life. So to see someone so young doing something like that, I think is really amazing. So I'm very happy to have you on.
You actually inspired me to do YouTube.
I inspired you. How? Tell me more about that.
Oh no. I don't know. I just watch your videos and I feel motivated and inspired to just do my own, because I don't know. I just like it.
That's good. I think that there's a lot to like, if you ask me. All right. So let's see. So we can get on, I guess, with the pre-show at this point. But that's our panel of, we'll say, activists and advocates from not just around the country, but also from around the globe at this point. So I'm really excited. I think that the fact that we're able to bring people together from so far apart is pretty amazing. So at this point, what we're going to be doing for the show is just asking some questions to anyone who's out in the audience. So I'll go ahead and start, but if you are in the audience, whether you're on the YouTube channel right now, on Twitter, on Facebook, you can submit the answers to us. But my first question is, where is everyone coming from? So we've got some panelists from the UK. I know I'm in the Bay Area. Anish, you're up in Seattle, right?
Mm-hmm. I am in Seattle. And just before we go on, I just want to say that on your Twitter, you wrote the trans views.
Oh, man.
Oh.
I used the wrong one.
For people, the hashtag is trans view.
Yes, thank you. Man, I'm so bad at this technology thing.
Yeah,
all right,
just so we can get the answers, you know?
Yeah, it's singular. Apparently, I can't get my own hashtags right. That's fine.
I've got to change mine to... Oh, wait, I have to delete it to edit it.
All right, so the trans view. All right, so go ahead and so where are you from? And then we'll go ahead and mention a couple people as we start to get answers. So Anish, do you have any questions for the universe out there?
There's been a lot of news in the past month. What has particularly gotten you heated up? Because I know there's a lot of things that gets me heated up, and a lot lately. So what is the thing that's been bothering you the most about the news lately? It could be anything. World news, local news.
That's a great question.
Politics.
Yeah, Anish, what's your answer to that question? What's been heating you up about the news recently?
Oh, what hasn't been eating up? See, I love the news. I'm a news junkie. I love to read the news. I love to watch the news. CNN's on my iPad like 24/7. What has been bothering me? Well, the whole Donald Sterling thing has gotten me. I mean, it's entertaining. It hasn't necessarily bothered me because, I mean, Adam Silver did the right thing by kind of banning him. But it's just that was really funny to watch. I'm trying to think what else has been really, really getting under my skin.
Well, that one was because I only saw that sort of on a cursory level, but that was the NBA team owner, right? Who was saying some racist things.
Yeah.
And you know, I saw that and I thought it was pretty funny because they turned it around really quick and were like, "You're out of there, lifetime ban."
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You know, and you didn't see a lot of backlash from people being like, "Hey, you know, banned for lifetime for racist remarks." But just last month, when the CEO of Mozilla was forced out for his anti-gay views, everyone was like, "Oh, gay people are being bullies and stuff like that, and that, you know, they're being too mean." And then somebody says a racist remark, lifetime ban.
Yep.
Everyone's on the bandwagon.
Yep.
Like whole different thing. People are treating it really different, and that sort of contrast to me stuck out about that.
Oh, totally. And I hope that we can get to the point one day where when someone does or says something like the Mozilla CEO, that the response is just like what happened to Donald Sterling, you know? Because that would mean a huge step for the LGBT community.
Yeah.
Feel that kind of support. Be like, yeah, this is wrong. Nobody should say this. This is ridiculous. So.
Yeah. So definitely let us know what you think about what news stories have been going on that have just been particularly irksome, or what's been going on in the world that's been on your mind. Rachel, what sort of questions do you have for the world out there?
Well, if some people, like, if any of you are still in school and you're transgender, if anybody comes up to you and asks, "Is it true that you're a boy trapped in a girl's body?" what would you say? Because I have been asked that a lot and I have no idea what to say to them.
Wow, that's a great question.
Good question. Yeah.
Aneesh, what would you say? Oh, I think we lost Anish's video feed for a second. Oh, you're back. You're back. I see you. Aneesh, how would you answer that question?
I don't know. It's a good question. I have to think on that. How would you answer that question?
How am I going to answer that? Oh, man. All right, so someone comes up to me and says, Is it true that you are a woman trapped in a man's body? So, to me, I think the question comes down to identity, and sort of where you are in the trans process. So, like when I first started transitioning, um, I was only living like part time for maybe a month or something like that. Like I would go out to specific things dressed and living as a girl, but if it came to like going shopping or something like that, I would sometimes just do it in boy mode because it would be easier because I wouldn't be harassed as much, especially when I was living in Utah. And at that point, I really did feel like a woman who was trapped in a man's body. And a lot of it was that, I didn't have very much passing privilege at the time, so I wasn't able to, um, I guess, pass out in society as a woman. So everyone was reading me as a man, even though I identified internally as a woman. So, like, I felt socially like a woman, but trapped in the body of a man because that's how people were recognizing me. But do I identify as a woman trapped in the body of a man? No, I just identify as a woman. So I don't know. I think that's a great question. What do you guys think?
I could never answer it like that.
I feel that's a complicated answer though.
But that's a great answer. I would probably say the same thing, you know? I mean, I think definitely.
How do I? All right. So I'm typing this down on Twitter. We'll see how it's going.
Definitely felt that.
I'm trying to type these questions out to people at the same time as like being on camera and being present, and it's difficult. Oh no! Did you guys lose my video feed?
It's just came up with a picture of you in the circle.
I lost
Unaware.
your video.
It's back now. We're getting weird connections today. I'm gonna blame.
I've got pins and needles in my feet.
I'm gonna blame the death of net neutrality for this. That's what's happening. Comcast has decided that since we're not paying enough money, we're not going to get awesome bandwidth and stuff. That's what's going on.
Yeah.
My feet have got pins and needles now.
Tell me about it.
Oh. All right. So it is noon. What we're going to do is we're going to take a 5-minute break. We're going to come back and we're going to launch the live show. And in the meantime, if we get any answers to these questions, then we'll be bringing those up on the live show, which is going to start in about 5 minutes.
I'll just search for any questions that I could find.
All right. So see you guys in a moment.
Okay.
It's confusing hearing you say something, and then a minute later hearing it again.
Yeah. This thing you posted is hilarious.
Like, how that was not.
Like, not gonna happen. Nope.
I saw some picture that of Satan that they want to put up on the State House in Oklahoma under the Freedom of Religion clause in the First Amendment. And I wrote, that statue is metal as fuck. I would put it on my front lawn. And what some idiot wrote. The symbolism predates metal by hundreds, if not thousands of years. I was like,
Oh my god.
now I'm going to put a meme of this era.
All right, are you guys ready? Hold on. I had muted people, but I need to figure out how to unmute people. There's a way. That's grayed out. Here we are. All right, is everyone back? Right. Aneesh, can you hear me? No. I'm seeing a mute symbol underneath your name.
Can you hear me now?
Now I can. All right, Rachel, are you back? All right. We have about 30 more seconds till Rachel's back again. All right, let's do it. And title screen. All right. All right, welcome everybody to season 2 or season 1. I wish we were on season 2. Season 1, episode 2 of Trans View. I'm here today. I'm your host, Aaron, aka Grishno, and I'm joined by two spectacular women from around the country and around the globe today. So our first panelist today is going to be Aneesh Sheth. So say hello, Aneesh.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. If this is your second time, thank you and welcome back. If this is your first time, welcome. This is going to be a really fun show, like it was last time. And we have lots of interesting things to talk about today.
We certainly do. And our next panelist that we have is going to be Rachel, also known as TransLife on YouTube. How's it going, Rachel?
Good. I'm excited to be on here.
Awesome. Well, we are very excited to have you. Rachel is coming to us all the way from the United Kingdom, so across the pond. Grishno and the Trans View have gone international. We're very excited about that. Awesome. So today on the show, there's going to be a couple things. We're going to start off by first going over some of the news that has been happening over the last month. So we'll be jumping into that. We're going to give some updates around that. Our first topic today is going to be around a video that I made this month, and it was called You've Got Shemale. And this was about RuPaul's Drag Race and sort of the backlash that they've gotten for using terms like shemale on their show, how different people responded, and sort of have a conversation around policing language and what that means. So that's going to be our main topic for the show today. We're also going to do an interview with Rachel, so we're super excited about having Rachel on as a special guest. And again, if you're interested in being one of our special guests on the show, all you need to do is make a YouTube video stating who you are and what you have, why your voice needs to be heard here on the Trans View. If you just email that link to grishno@gmail.com, then we'll be able to talk and hopefully have you on the show, just like Rachel today. And then, so that's sort of our lineup for the show. Anything to add, you guys, before we just jump into it?
If you want to tweet us questions and have a live chat with us during the episode, tweet hashtag #TheTransView, TheTransView, or you can tweet us at Grishno, at Ashmeesh. Mine is ASHMEESH. And Rachel, what's your hashtag or your handle on Twitter?
It's at MNECRAFT. I was going to have it as Minecraft, but it just came up with Minecraft.
Okay.
MNECRFT.
MN.
MN.
I'll just send it on the little chat in the Google thing.
Excellent. All right, so that should be, there we go. So that's on the screen right now. So you can tweet at Grishno or at Ashmeesh. Again, remember to use the hashtag #TheTransView. Here we go. We'll see if that comes up. So there are a couple things to remember about the Trans View. So first off, during the pre-show, we had a couple questions for the audience that we're just going to extend into the main live show today. So our first question, which came from me, was where is everyone from? So I know we have, I'm based out of Oakland, Aneesh is up in Seattle, and then we also have the UK. But we want to know where you guys are from, so hit us up. Aneesh, you had a question for
Yes.
the Twitter race.
In the past month, what news stories have really gotten under your skin? And I guess, rethinking that question now, in a good way or a bad way, what news stories have really stuck out for you the most and have you been passionate about in the past month?
Awesome. And then, Rachel, you had also had a question for the Twitterverse, and what was that question?
If anybody came up to you, if you're at school, if anybody came up to you and asked, is it true that you're a boy trapped in a girl body, what would you say? because I have no idea what I would say.
Yeah. So those are a few great questions from our panelists today. So we're going to go ahead and jump into our news segment today. And some of the news that I've seen that's this sort of gets at the question that Aneesh was asking is so recently, and this I think this just happened this month, and this was in the Indian Supreme Court, where they recognized a third gender, which was really for me, the reason that this stuck out as a big important piece of news is India is an absolutely massive country. You got to consider that there's over 1 billion people in this country, and so to have a country with that many people that's that large actually be able to recognize that there's not just male and female. To me, that was a huge advance for trans rights. But at the same time, it also created this. I'm not sure if there's a specific word that I would use to describe it, but it also puts this thing. So now if there's just male and female and trans, what does that mean? Like, what does just having a third gender mean? And how do you then distinguish between someone who's male to female, someone who's female to male? How does that work with marriage? Like, if somebody has this third gender on their birth certificate or on their ID, like who can they marry? And it creates all these sorts of issues. So I thought that was a really interesting thing. Aneesh or Rachel, have you guys heard about this happening in India?
I'm not really updated with things.
All right. So, but what do you think about it? Now that you've heard a little bit about it, what would you do if you could change your birth certificate to say transgender? What would you do?
I don't know. I would only change it if it's not saying there were anything less than a female or a male. Because if it's saying that, then I would not change it at all.
That's an interesting point. What about you, Aneesh? Is this something that you would do?
So my thing with this is, when I heard about this, I was almost, I don't know if offended is the word. So growing up in an Indian family and with a lot of Indian relatives and going to India frequently when I was a kid, what we consider transgender here are considered what they're called in India as hijra, which is essentially translate to eunuch. And eunuchs have like a long history of India as being, caretakers for the royal family, centuries ago. And now they're considered the kind of, lower class people who are generally into singing and dancing and performing. And they go and, they sing and they dance at people's weddings and functions in order to make money. So growing up, there was always this very negative connotation about, I'm going to call them hijras for this conversation, these eunuchs. And so when I found out about this, it's almost like this paradox, which India is anyway, that you're giving rights and recognizing a group of people, but are you respecting them anymore? Are you really are you saying that they're equal to everybody else? And I think that's kind of, following up with what Rachel was saying is like, if they're saying that this is not less than claiming that you're male or female on the form, then it's a good thing. It's a step in the right direction. But it's kind of also othering. It's almost like saying, well, these are eunuchs. They're not equal to the rest of the people, and that's why we can have them say, that they're eunuchs on the form. But in all the language. And I wonder if the media translated saying that it's India's third gender, transgender, rather than using the term hijra, because people in the Western world don't know what that term is. And I don't know if, the feeling is the same that eunuchs or hijras are transgender, because in growing up in my experience, they were never considered that.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I definitely heard a lot when I was talking about the story. So like I've been pretty involved in trans culture for a while, so I'm pretty up to date on like Hydra and stuff like that. So like as I'm not like a layman coming at it and being like, oh no, whatever. But so like but to me, so I was wondering that same sort of thing, because it is sort of there's a difference in the way that transgender is represented here in the States versus the Hydra or any other culture that has multiple genders. You can look at the Native Americans and the way that they had gender, and they had people who were a third gender or who were two-spirit. But that's different than the way that I do transgender. And so, but just the fact that it's being recognized as a gender, creating a non-binary gender system in a country that has over 1 billion people, like that's sort of the thing that to me was like, whoa, like that's a massive acknowledgement that there's not just a gender binary.
Right.
But even with it, that's not necessarily like a trans thing. Like I don't identify as a trans person as my gender. I identify as a female as my gender. So like they're very different things, but they're all sort of dealing with a breaking down of the gender binary.
Yeah. And I'm actually rereading the article to see what stipulations there are in terms of this law. And it's also really interesting that this comes months after Section 377. And for those of you who don't know what that is, in India, it was earlier this year, I think, just a couple months ago, Section 377, which is a law that basically targets anyone who doesn't have what they consider conventional sex, heterosexual, vaginal, penetrative sex.
Right.
And the LGBT community obviously loses out a lot with this and are considered criminals. So it's so interesting that this just comes so soon after that, which is an antiquated law which was ruled unconstitutional in 2009 and just recently reinstated. So it's so twisted. It's really, really twisted.
That is. So it was ruled unconstitutional. Because, like, in the States, we also have, there's, like, anti-sodomy laws and different things which outlaw gay sex and stuff. So, and they've also been being ruled unconstitutional in the States. But, so you say that in 2009, in India, they were also ruled unconstitutional?
Yeah,
but
I believe it was 2009. Yeah, it was... Let me double check that fact, but I'm pretty sure it was really, really recent.
That's crazy.
So the original law is 1861, and in July of 2009, yeah.
Wow. So, I mean that has some pretty big impacts, and I'm a huge fan of the government getting the fuck out of people's bedrooms.
Oh yeah.
Sorry for the adult language. I know we have a youth on here, so I should be a little bit better about not cursing all over the place. But like,
I'm used to it.
Okay, good. You've seen all my videos. You know what to expect. But so it's I really just don't think that the government has any sort of place in regulating what consenting adults are doing to each other in the privacy of their own homes. Like if it goes out into the public sphere, then whatever, that's in the public, and that should be subject to laws and stuff like that. But if you are consenting in your own home, I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess you could take that to weird logical extremes or whatever, but like, I don't know. I'm going on a crazy rant about government stuff. So that's the news for this week, and we want to know what you guys think. So if you have any opinions on what this is like, or if there was an option like this available in your country or in your state, would you take it? So let us know, and you can do that by using the hashtag #TheTransView. Also, speaking of people using the hashtag #TransView, we have at Itzel Mittens watching us from Denver, Colorado. So welcome. And let's see the comment. I don't know. So we'll looks like we have some people on Twitter. So again, if you are on Twitter, you can tweet us at the hashtag #TransView. And questions that we asked are: where are you from? What news has been on your mind recently? And if somebody came up to you and said, "Are you a man trapped in a woman's body, or are you a woman trapped in a man's body?" How would you respond? And so with all that out of the way, I think we'll go on to our next segment, which is going to be about RuPaul's Drag Race. So, you know, I made a whole video about this topic, which was fun. I always like having good topics that are not so black and white to make videos about. So basically what happened was this was on the RuPaul's Drag Race show, which is if you're not familiar, it's a show that is on Logo, which is the LGBT television station. And it's about drag queens, and it's sort of like a fashion competition, but a competition to be like who's the next biggest drag queen. And I personally I love the show. It's super dramatic and just like over the top funny. And so it's something I really like. But they did a segment recently in which they had cisgender women up on stage with I guess drag queens who were in drag, and it was the contestants' responsibility to figure out if they were a drag queen or a cisgender woman. And what they would do is they'd hold up a sign and it would say she-male or female.
And it was spelled female, like we know she-male.
Yeah, like SHEMALE.
Okay.
Spelling competition. You know, but then there's so like that was a pretty so like the trans community got really mad about this, and there's a lot of reasons to get mad. So one, they're using the term she-male, and the term she-male can be used is used primarily in porn. You know, some trans women find it offensive, others don't. But the way that they were using it sort of said that you're either a female or a she-male. You know, and sort of created this weird dichotomy between the two. If you want to learn more about it, I guess you can check out my video on it. It's called "You've Got She-Male." It's on Gmail. But there were a couple things that happened out of this. So one, a bunch of people in the trans community got really outraged by this, and so what they did is they went. And they complained to Logo and to GLAAD, which is a big advocacy group, and they ended up coming in and changing the show as a result of this one sketch and from the backlash that they got from the trans community. And so what they did is they came in and they said, you can't use the word she-male at all. And on the show, if you've watched it, whenever they're introducing a new segment or a new challenge or something like that, they use the term she-male, like, oh, you've got she-male, like you've got male, M-A-I-L. You know, and it's a play on Tyra Mail, which is from Next Top Model. And so, you know, this was the term I didn't necessarily find offensive, and a lot of people didn't, but it's the most prominent use of something that sounds the same. So how do you know whether they're saying she-male with a L-E or she-male with a I-L? And so what they did is they just did a blanket ban on it. And so to me, that was policing language. So that's sort of the point of everything that happened. But, you know, we want to have a conversation with the panel today about what your thoughts are on this topic, and then also with anyone on Twitter or on the YouTube page. What are your thoughts on this topic? So Aneesh, did you hear about this?
I have.
Yet?
I have, and I watched your video, and I agreed with you in that female spelled M-A-I-L is. I'm not offended by that. I think it's a play on words, and I think, you know, it's funny in that context. Would people be getting offended by it if it was, you know, a dating show, and, you know, if, you know, there was a panel of women, and if they got, you know, a message from, you know, somebody on the dating show saying that they were interested, it would be called she-male, but M-A-I-L, IL. I mean, would people be making such a big deal about it if it wasn't on a trans or drag queen show or trans specific show?
Right.
I am one of those people who does find the MALE offensive, only because I think it just kind of relates back to growing up. That term was considered, so derogatory. It was used so derogatorily with other trans people that I had known, or you see that in porn and things like that. And I wonder when we get, I would love to hear Rachel's opinion about this too, because I wonder how much it's changed in our generations, where I don't know what her experience is with that word.
Mm-hmm.
If the younger generations don't find it so offensive, because it's kind of reclaiming the word or using it in a different context. However, I don't agree with policing the language. I think, I was kind of thinking about this the other day, that as trans people, we've like broken this mold. We've kind of defied our own biological bodies to conform better with our identities.
Mm.
And by doing that, we've said to the world, no, I'm not going to be what you want me to be. I'm not going to say or do what you want me to do. I'm going to be my own person. So then now, why are in that was, the basis of breaking out and, coming out. Why are we all of a sudden now policing people within our own community? Why are we policing language within our own community? Saying, like, now are we setting a standard? I mean, if that's what's happening, then we need to be honest about it and say, like, this is what is happening. We are starting to... My dog wants to come in the picture.
Hi, dog.
Say hi, Gray. We're setting this standard that's saying, no, we have certain words in our community that we are and we are not using. And if you use it, you are going to be considered an enemy of the community or whatever it is. You're going to be considered someone who's, offensive. I don't know if I agree with that. I think because we're here is the only reason why, the trans movement has become so big is because people have broken out of the norm. And by doing that, you have to use language that isn't always correct or be something that's not normal. So I don't know. I feel like it maybe translates to our language use.
Yeah, those are some great points. Rachel, have you heard about this controversy, and what do you think?
I have only heard about it on your video, and I would only find it offensive. Wait, is it about the female thing?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah, I would only find it offensive if people were using it to be an insult, but if they like just use it as a play on words, then I'll be okay with it.
Mm-hmm. Right. So to you, it has to do a lot with like context or how somebody uses the word, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's sort of the point that I came to in my videos, and I think that we've all sort of said some of the same things. But to me, it is about context. It's about how you're using it. So like, I've had a lot of friends, and even on my videos and things like that, I've used different words that people end up finding offensive for whatever reason. So like, I use the term tranny when I'm talking about myself, or like when I have friends who I'll be like, "What up, tranny?" Like, just being friendly or things like that. And in that context, in like a friendly sort of way with other trans people, it's something that I enjoy, and it sort of brings me together. To me, Aneesh Sheth speaks a little bit to sort of reclaiming some words and, taking ownership over those. But at the same time, like if someone were to ask, "Oh, hey, Aaron, are you a tranny?"
Right.
I'd be like, "Excuse me?
Right.
What?"
And I'm the same way. Yeah, I'm the same
Yeah.
way. I use, I hope people don't get offended by this, but I use the word tranny, and I use it, with my friends. And I think because there's an understanding that we're not using it as an offensive way, we are reclaiming the word. But if somebody else were to use it, I would be so offended.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, so to me, it comes down to context, or, how you're using it, or possibly even who's using it. But then, like to play devil's advocate, are we then policing language? Are we saying...
Right.
We are
totally policing language.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
But
it's...
then the question comes, is it okay to police language when it's offensive? But then the question becomes, what is considered offensive? Like, in what definition is it offensive? Because some people find this offensive, some people find this offensive. You know, it's a never-ending battle, I guess.
Yeah, you know, and that was in the comment section on the video. Like there were like, I don't know, there were a lot of comments, and they were taking all sorts of positions. Some people were like, "Those are the most offensive words. You should never use them," and other people were like, "Whatever. I use those words all the time." Like, you know, so like, who do you have to offend in order to count? I apologize if I'm getting some noise. Morgan is home, so everyone say hi, Morgan.
Hi, Morgan.
So, you know, we do have someone chiming in on Twitter about this. It's at Macabremia. So I'm probably butchering it, how they pronounce that name. But they say, in my opinion, the context, it was funny. You've got she-mail. What do you guys think? Was the context of that funny? You know, like, so I don't know. That's one of the things that we have. We also have someone at Bex in SF saying you cannot have nuanced conversations with bigots. RuPaul is a transphobic bigot, therefore no nuance. Just don't use the word. You know, so even there on some of our comments, I think that we're getting into the complexity of the situation. Let's see. So Aneesh, tell me a little bit about the reclaiming of words. What's your take on not only reclaiming like these sorts of words, but you know, how can we as a community come together around something like reclaiming a word? I mean, that's not something you can do like, hey, I'm going to go out and reclaim this one word on my own. Like, this is a large thing.
Right. And I think it takes the involvement of a community to kind of agree one way or another. And I think because we are so divided on this issue, it's difficult. There is a singer. She was kind of like the first trans singer in rock. She was kind of one of Andy Warhol's posse back in the day, and her name is Jane County. Some people might know of her. You can Wikipedia her, Google her. And recently she wrote on her Facebook page that she's throwing a party, and in her, I want to pull up the exact language that she used. Excuse me. Because a lot of people were very, very offended by it. I had read about what had happened first before I'd actually seen her post. And when I read her post, I wasn't offended. So the original post said, I am having a party tonight, and all my breeder, bag, dyke, tranny, and she-male friends are invited. And that was the original post on April 15th that kind of ignited this whole controversy about policing language. Well, it didn't start the debate. The debate obviously started a long time, but in terms of her, you know, that Facebook banned her, I think, for 2 days or 24 hours, 36 hours, something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, because they thought that she was transphobic, that she was homophobic. Now, my question is, what makes her any different than kind of, you know, someone out in the middle of nowhere who's writing a homophobic or transphobic post? You know, I'm sure they weren't banned. Facebook isn't sitting there and banning everyone. You know, they're searching for the term, you know, homo or, you know, tranny or whatever, and they're trying to, you know, block everybody. That's not what they're doing. So what specifically about her, and specifically about her post, made Facebook, you know, single her out? 2 days later, when she was finally unbanned from Facebook, she wrote, I cannot support trans activist suppression of free speech, even threatening newspapers not to print alternative viewpoints. I have read about such things happening in Nazi Germany in the 30s, but never would I have ever dreamed that it would come from my own people. The right to take away another human being's rights. What a sad day this is for the poor LGBT community, all over a few words that have been made even more powerful and evil by those that seek to erase them. If this is what you are going to do with your rights, then you don't deserve to even have them. No longer support trans rights. I do not support fascism from anyone. you have lost Jane County as a supporter. And she goes on saying that, she will not be censored, and that trans activists who seek to destroy all things that she disagrees with them.
Mm-hmm.
So I think
one question.
Yeah.
Sorry, is this person trans?
She is. Jane County is. She's. She was the first trans rock and roller.
Oh, right, Jane. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's really kind of like it's a crux. It's a crux of an argument here. Like, do we police language? Who polices the language? What's considered offensive? What's not considered offensive? Because there's so many different viewpoints. I think that because this country has yet to fully accept trans people as equals, and the rights of trans people and the LGBT community in general is not equal to the heterosexual counterparts. I think that maybe not we, but there should be some sort of standard in terms of what is okay and what's politically correct and what's not politically correct, only to educate people, because I think people are really, I've met a lot of people who use the word tranny who don't know that it's considered offensive. It's just what they've heard. Right. And I think that a lot of the case is that people don't know necessarily that the words that they're using are offensive, and other people know the history of the word, know that it's offensive, and still use it, but they're not meaning to be offensive, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's a really interesting point, too, and an interesting story, too, because, I mean, she's, coming from within the trans community. So for someone who is trans to say, like, hey, like, all of my, whatever, all these different things are invited.
Right.
And then to have the trans community say, you can't say that about us.
Right.
Well, like, this person is part of the trans community. Like,
right.
Who's to say that they can't? Like, right. Tyranny of the majority, or tyranny of the vocal minority, or who knows. So I think it's a complicated issue that doesn't necessarily have the same sort of cohesion that things around like race do. So like there are things, like racial slurs, for example. It's very clear most of the time like what a racial slur is and whether or not you're using it.
Right.
But with the trans community, even when you are trans, it's not always clear. Like, what can I use? Am I gonna, do I need to walk on eggshells here? So it's a difficult thing, and I think that there's not as united of a perspective as there are on other terms of hate speech that could be used. So like I've had people, for example, ask me, oh, like, hey, you're a transvestite, and I'm not a transvestite. And whenever people ask me that, I try really hard not to get offended. But like, if all they've ever seen of trans people is like Rocky Horror Picture Show, and that's like their only point of reference, and they're like, oh yeah, sweet transvestite or whatever. And that's not to knock Rocky Horror Picture Show, like that's a hilarious piece of 1970s campy awesomeness.
Yeah.
But if that's your only point of reference, then you're coming out and asking me something that I don't identify with, that has a lot of negative associations for me. Not to knock it if you identify as a transvestite or something. I don't. So I think a lot of it can speak to ignorance, but also, at the same time, I think that a lot of people who are trans are triggered by these sorts of words. So they've been called these sorts of words on the street or online by people who are being malicious or who are coming after them to make them feel bad or attack them or different things. And so when they hear these words, whether it's coming from someone else who's trans or RuPaul or someone on the internet, they have a reaction to it that's negative. And so for them, like, this isn't, just like, no words, don't use these words at all.
Yeah.
So like I understand these perspectives, but it's a very complicated issue, I think.
And kind of what you were drawing back to, what you were saying about race, is that nowhere is it acceptable for people to use a racial term and I wonder if that's because over the years, over the decades, people have policed language within the community and outside the community. That has that become a standard because people have policed language?
Right.
And is there a necessity for us to police language within our own community so that people outside of the community know what is considered offensive and what is not?
Yeah.
Yeah. But then, you, like I said before, it brings back to the question, what do people and I wonder that the people who don't consider the term she-male or consider the term tranny, I wonder. I lost my train of thought. Go.
No, it's fine. We also have a comment on Twitter about this. So this one again is from Mia Macabre, and she says, or I assume I'm sorry, I shouldn't assume genders. I should know better than that. But they say if they're a cool person with good intentions, why police their speech? And I think that that's a really good point. Is that it comes down to the intention of a person. So if I use something with a friend, my intent is friendly. So they take it that way. If someone on the street is using these sorts of terms to talk about me, their intent is malicious, and so I take it that way. So context, I think, plays a large role. And I think it's a lot more nuanced when you start taking in like context and who can say this and when and what makes it appropriate. But I think that the easy answer is to just say don't say it. Like that's the easiest way.
Right.
But at the same time, I don't necessarily think that's right because I don't want people telling me how I should talk to my friends or what words I should use when I'm talking to my friends or my community or things like that. Like that's like don't police me.
Right.
But at the same time, like I need to be smart about the stuff that I'm using and be respectful of the context that I'm using it in.
My train of thought back is the people who don't find the word tranny offensive or she-male offensive, I wonder if they find when other people use it outside of the community, if they find it offensive. Because that would speak volumes about in terms of reclaiming the language for our own community.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point. So it is coming up on 12:45. So thank you, you guys, for this conversation, and thanks for everyone on Twitter who joined in with us. Again, let us know what you think about policing language and about whether things should be taken in context or if we should just ban specific words. We're going to go ahead and take a brief 3 to 5 minute break, and then we'll be back with an interview with TransLife. So see you guys in a bit. right, so we are back. We'll go ahead and just take this bad boy down. All right, there we go. All right, hopefully Rachel will be back in a second. But I want to thank everyone who's been participating with us on Twitter today. We've had some good following. We've also had some activity on Google Plus and on YouTube. So, Rachel, there you are. All right, welcome back. All right, so we are all back, and we're going to go ahead and jump into our second segment today. So welcome back to the Trans View, and we are here with a special guest. She is a YouTuber on YouTube. She blogs under the name TransLife, and is one of the youngest YouTubers that I know personally. So welcome to the show again, Rachel, aka TransLife. Go ahead and say hey to everyone, Rachel. How's it going?
I'm glad to be here. Hi, I'm glad to be here.
Awesome. We're super
Very
happy
glad.
to. All right. Well, we are super happy to have you here, Rachel. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your YouTube channel and what you like to do on there, and what are the sorts of videos that you're making?
The types of videos that I'm making, well, I normally do vlogs about my transgender journey, and season 1 has ended because I only do 20 episodes, because I'm not much of a series person, but I do also do types of videos like monthly favourites and Get Ready With Me videos, but I've only done one.
Right. Very nice. And you said that you started your videos about 4 months ago, and you've already done 20 videos. What's the reception been like? What's the reception been like to the videos that you've been doing?
What do you mean by reception? I'm not like really much.
Have you been getting views or comments from people from around the world? Like, what's that been like?
It's definitely getting a lot more successful. I mean, at the start, well, when everybody starts YouTube, they don't really get like any likes or video or subscribers. But I'm happy with the way it is at the moment. My newest video has had one comment by Zeke Kojiro with a picture of a seal.
They sent you a picture of a seal as their comment.
It's a comment, and their user picture is a seal with loads of layers under its chin.
So I guess there are a couple things that I think people should know about you. So one is that you are 12, almost 13, and you are transitioning from male to female in the UK, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So first off, like to me, coming out at I came out at 20. And I remember at the time everyone was talking to me about, oh, I wish I was able to transition when I was 20. You're so young. You're so young. And I always say, you guys don't even know what young is, and because now there are kids transitioning as young as 8 or 6, and people who are transitioning on YouTube at the age of 12. So thanks for making me feel super old.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thanks a lot for that. So for you, like, YouTube has been around for a significant part of your life. Has YouTube played any role in shaping your transition or getting you involved in trans things?
Yeah, I have joined a lot of community, if that's what you mean. I've definitely joined your community. I've been talking to a lot of transgender people, like Jazz. I'm surprised I actually got to talk to Jazz.
Jazz, the young girl who was on 60 Minutes.
Estrogen. Oh yeah, the documentary.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was talking to her on Facebook, and I'm actually kind of surprised that she actually replied to my comment. I'm surprised I'm doing this with you.
So for you being able to have access to the internet and to the the online communities that it creates, you've been able to reach out to people like Jazz or like me, and hear back from people. And what has that been like for you to meet other trans people?
Amazing. But anything that I could ever do outside of the internet, I mean, all I ever do outside of the internet is just school, and I hate school.
Who doesn't hate school at your age? Trust me.
Right. I think that's something we can all relate to.
Yeah.
So, Aneesh, did you have any questions for Rachel?
Rachel, you're an exceptionally brave young lady for knowing who you are and having the courage to stand up for yourself at this age is just unbelievable. I know I wasn't even near that point at your age. Who have been some of the biggest inspirations for you in terms of trans people and non-trans people? It can be either. I'm really interested to know who's been a big inspiration for you.
Definitely you and Erin.
You flatter us. You flatter
right?
us.
I'm getting all red now.
And also Jazz and Kelly Stokes, which is also another YouTuber that does vlogs about transgender journey.
And sorry, go ahead.
That's it, I think.
And so your videos are they focused mainly on your transitioning? Are they focused on kind of your everyday life? I'm not familiar with your videos, and for those who are watching that aren't as well, could you explain a little bit more about what's going on in your videos?
Well, it's just a mixture of really anything that happens over the time that I am about to upload it. Like before it, something has to happen before I do a video, or I have to plan a video. Like say, like if I do a get ready with me video or a tutorial video,
okay.
I just plan random stuff, and stuff that happens, I just talk about it.
That's really, really great. And how has your experiences been in school? I know, I transitioned even later than Erin had. So I wonder, someone your age going to school, what grade are you in right now? Are you in 7th grade, 8th grade?
I'm in 8th grade.
In 8th grade. It's a difficult year. People are, transitioning into puberty and trying to assert themselves as young adults. How is that experience coming out as my first question should be, are you out as trans at school? And if you are, or if not, what has your experience been like? Everybody that has been told, they seem to be coping with it okay, but I'm not really comfortable with having like loads of people knowing, because it is like the biggest secret in my life, and I don't really like my secrets being spread on all over the place. But it's okay at the moment, so I'm hoping it'll stay like that. That's good. So do you feel that you're not facing a lot of adversity in school, that people aren't, are you bullied at school? Are people mean to you at school?
No, some people at school are actually quite scared of me because I'm like a lot taller than them.
That's great. That's good. You're the leader.
Good. As a tall woman, I can definitely say tall women power.
Oh yeah, so. I think we're all pretty tall here.
Yeah. How tall is everyone, by the way?
I'm 5'7".
5'7". All right, you're short.
I'm 5'7".
Yeah, I'm not gonna tell you guys. No, I'm 6 feet tall, so I'm a tall lady.
Yeah, but you have a beautiful figure, so.
Thanks. Keep flattering me.
Statuesque is what I would use.
Right. Keep sending it my way. So Rachel, I know that we talked a little bit, but you mentioned that you have come out to your family. What was it like to come out to your family, and how have they reacted?
Well, it was actually quite hard. My mum was the first person I told, and I actually started to get into tears when I told her, because it was like very hard. But now that I've told a lot of people, it's a lot less hard. And what was the other question?
How did they react?
They reacted quite well. They said they didn't leave them without surprise, because I used to always dress up in girl clothes and always ask for dolls and stuff. and whenever I got boy stuff for Christmas, I just threw it aside.
Now, do you find it's been easier telling more and more people? The more and more people you tell, is it getting easier for you?
It just depends on who I'm telling.
Okay.
I mean, I think it's funny that you say that your mom or that your parents weren't necessarily surprised. So for me, like I was really really nervous also about telling my parents, and I sort of saved it like that they would be the last people that I told. And when I came out to my mom, she was like, well, I'm not surprised. And I was like, what? I thought I've been hiding this so well. So I think maybe sometimes we don't hide it as well as we think that we do. So, all right, so we have reached 1 o'clock, which unfortunately means that is coming to the end of the show. So this has been the Trans View. We are every first Saturday of the month. So our next show, and last time I missed this, so I should actually be better about this. Let's see. It's going to be, our next show is going to be June 7th. So be sure to come back on June 7th, and we'll have a lot more to talk about. We'll have Aneesh, and who knows who else we'll have. Remember, if you would like to join the show as a special guest or as a member of the cast, all you need to do is make a YouTube video stating who you are and why your voice needs to be heard. So make that, and you can send the link to grishno@gmail.com, and we will have you on. Any final thoughts as we go out? We'll go to you, Rachel.
No, not really. I never have any thoughts.
No thoughts at all. If people want to find you on YouTube and subscribe to you, how can they do that?
Well, if you search TransLife in the YouTube thing, it won't pop up, so I'm going to have to get the link to it.
Okay. But you blog under the name TransLife on YouTube, though, correct?
Yes.
All right, so everyone should go and subscribe to Rachel because she's super awesome. I'm a big fan, and I think I'm like your first fan. So, more and more people go and subscribe because she's awesome. Aneesh, any final thoughts as we send out the show?
Thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll see you next month. It's been great.
I totally missed that. I knocked out my headphones. I'm so sorry. What did you say? I'm sorry.
I just said it's been a great episode, and tune in next time because I'm sure it's going to be even more fun.
Yeah, we're good. It has been a lot of fun. It's been a great time. I love hanging out with you. So remember June 7th, and until then, we'll see you guys later.